welcome to the Things Conference 2021. My name is Tiffany. I'm the VP and head of IoT strategy at Ericsson. Ericsson's a Swedish company that makes cellular technology. All that 5G stuff you keep hearing about, we sell that to mobile operators around the world to keep everybody connected on your phones and tablets and every other thing in the world. So today, I'm going to talk to you about digital resiliency, specifically in light of what happened in 2020 for all of us. And it's still going on a little right now here in the beginning of 2021 as we get started. This COVID pandemic that we've all dealt with. I'm going to talk to you. There's been a lot of resiliency that people have had, and a lot of people have stepped up to make things better for the world. I'm going to just keep it focused on digital and kind of connectivity things. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the agenda, I'm going to kind of walk through the internet, wireless connectivity, web conferencing, e-commerce, ghost kitchens, the Internet of Things, streaming entertainment, healthcare, how we work and live, and then data and advanced analytics. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So the internet. My big takeaway is the internet has been the hero of this pandemic. When we think about digital and connectivity, the internet was built by DARPA a long time ago, decades ago, and it was designed to have this awesome connectivity for data and voice and everything that can withstand nuclear attack, and it's super distributed. And guess what? It is held together. Businesses, people, first responders, hospitals, the usage has just skyrocketed in 2020 during the time of COVID. Everybody's connected in a way that they've never been. We've really turned the volume up to 11 on internet usage, and it's held together. And I know a lot of us take it for granted, kind of like the air we breathe, but it has facilitated these digital connected experiences that we've now realized are completely indispensable to our society. We take it for granted. A lot of these experiences we take for granted. And boy, in 2020, we realized it was one of the things that was holding us all together. So huge applause for the internet holding together. Excellent. Kind of, along the same lines of the internet is wireless connectivity. So the internet, it's like lots of fiber optics and stuff like that, and cabling, cable modems and all kinds of stuff. But most people are mobile, and a lot of them connect to the internet with tablets and smartphones, laptops, on planes, in cars, all that kind of stuff. And so just like the overall internet's held together, the cellular infrastructure has just been super stable, holding together. All these cell towers, I can tell you from experience and from what I see going on at Ericsson, we don't just make the gear. We have people who are climbing up these cell towers to update them. We're rolling out 5G around the world to keep people connected, and people are working around the clock to do that. And so this wireless internet that we've created using cellular technology has just been awesome to deliver those digital experiences, whether they're native apps or web apps. Web conferencing, it's kind of what we're doing right now. Lots of people were working from home, and web conferencing technology kind of stepped in as a substitute, taking the place of traveling, whether you're traveling in a car or in a plane or things like that, and this is for work and for education. Clearly, we've had these technologies for a long time and they've been popular, but typically people still like to get on planes to go visit. And I totally get that. Kids got on school buses to go to school. But this was kind of a stressful time. That necessity is a mother of invention. You saw these two new standouts. We've had lots of web conferencing, but Zoom just went from a conferencing tool that lots of startups use to the primary way everybody's been connected. And then I'd say Teams, from Microsoft came on really strong and started adding capabilities. Businesses were empty. Skyscrapers are empty. Airplanes are sitting on the ground. Schools are empty. And so this is how we stayed connected. This is how we delivered education. This is how we did business deals. So web conferencing has been huge, no doubt about it. E-commerce. Stay-at-home orders meant that businesses were being closed all over the place or having to work at a reduced, capacity. This really gave e-commerce a boost. E-commerce has been around since the 90s. It's been growing steadily, but it literally skyrocketed this year in a way you could not imagine. Just look at the Amazon stock price and Shopify and things like that. People are not going to malls, they're not going to stores. So they shop from home. Along the way, all those empty streets in your cities became home to fleets of delivery trucks, that are bringing all those packages that you're ordering through e-commerce right to your doorstep. And so, DHL, FedEx, UPS, you name it, Amazon, they're making it all happen. They're making that connection that you were no longer having. A lot of times, retail employees, they were hit hard because their stores closed, and so they weren't there in a customer-facing scenario. But a lot of times they were trading in that customer-facing role to work at a distribution center. When you think about Amazon and others, where they have big distribution centers, fulfillment centers all over the country, all over the world, to get those products to you. You see a lot of people racing to do that kind of thing. So a lot of changes there. Of course, people are finding themselves having to compete with robots in distribution centers to see how quickly they can pick items and stage them and get them on trucks and planes. So interesting dynamic with the takeoff of e-commerce. Ghost kitchens. This is probably something you've never heard of before, but you probably will know what I'm talking about in a second. COVID, bars and restaurants just got hit so hard during 2020. A lot of them struggled mightily. A lot of them have gone out of business permanently. It's really sad. And so what we saw is, in restaurant lingo, those of us who've all worked in restaurants in the past, you have the front of house, right? Your host, hostess, you have waiters, waitresses, people serving you your food, all that stuff. The back of house is the kitchen, the food, the cooking, all that kind of stuff. Front of house was shut down, back of house still was going. You still had a kitchen, you could still make food. So restaurants had to be resourceful, and it gave rise to the strange term called ghost kitchen. You may have also heard of an idea about cloud kitchens. Basically, it's like, well, if I can give you a native, or web app on your mobile phone, so customers can still order food like they would normally in the menu, but do it on their mobile device. Be able to pay with credit cards or use Apple Pay or Google Pay or Samsung or you name it. And then you saw the combination of curbside pickup and delivery. You saw Uber Eats, you saw DoorDash just skyrocket as they went public. So many players there, Postmates, others. So being resourceful, not realizing that just because people can't sit in your restaurant, it doesn't mean that you're totally out of business. And so a lot of restaurants pivoted and did a good job of creating these so-called ghost kitchens. Internet of Things. Wow, what a shocker. I'm talking about IoT. Yeah, IoT, we're remotely knowing the state of a device, a machine, an environmental system. And sometimes you can also remotely control those machines using IoT. So that word remote keeps coming up. COVID caused people to have to work, to learn and meet remotely. We already talked about it, web conferencing, things like that. Well, this applies to the industrial world and knowing things. Times were used to have people there visiting machines, taking logs, making sure things were running properly. Now we've got to do it remotely. And so IoT comes to the rescue for machines in this case. And so you may have even heard of lights out factories where there's nobody in there at all. Think of like Elon Musk's Gigafactory and stuff like that. The other imperative is keep workers safe. We can't get them infected. And so you were remotely controlling a lot of these factories. So really interesting stuff. Internet of Things really came to the rescue to provide that. Streaming entertainment. I think everybody spent so much time binging shows on all the different streaming services. We'd had Netflix for a while. It's done really well, but then things went into the stratosphere during this lockdown. You saw the rise of Apple TV Plus. You saw this new HBO Max. There's so many of them. And some came out and failed too, or flops, because people weren't going to movie theaters, right? They weren't going to see football or baseball games. And so people are sitting at home on the couch. Obviously, this is a dream come true for those entertainment companies. And, just when you thought you were doing a good job cutting the cord on your cable to get rid of your cable bill and just using internet, now you've got all these individual streaming services. So it's been kind of an interesting trade-off. The takeaway, though, is we're delivering to those streams over the internet. And it's not just wired internet, it's wireless internet. So again, putting a huge load on the cellular infrastructure around the world, and it's held together. It's been great because you're not just watching on TV, you're watching on your tablets, on smartphones, on laptops. So it's all good. Healthcare, absolutely the most important aspect of this whole pandemic is healthcare, helping healthcare workers responding. They are working around the clock. They are the heroes of 2020 and 2021 as well. Absolutely. But you saw some of them stretch the limit. You saw maxed out ICU beds and things like that. And you saw people with other ailments or problems or emergencies struggling to get care, right? And so we were definitely hitting a bottleneck. But because of this, something, again, another thing that's been around a while, but really took off this year was telemedicine, being able to deliver healthcare online. And so that's, a lot of times that's video, right? Streaming over the internet, streaming over wireless Wi-Fi and cellular networks to people to deliver care digitally to people in need. Again, something we've been doing before, but it's really taken off in a big way because of the stress that this unfamiliar. And it's not just people in the rural areas that don't have local access often to hospitals. It worked well with cities too. Again, these are things that were taking off, and there'll be trends as we go into 2021 and beyond. Living and working, boy, if that picture doesn't say it all, people were all working from home if they could. Not everybody had that luxury. People they had to build new home offices, or maybe they're doing it from their bedroom or weird places. And they started to rethink their living and working situation. Am I going to want to fight traffic in the future to go back to the office? You had lots of people living in cool high rises. I think I live in Seattle. Downtown Seattle turned into a ghost town, just like most cities. And all of a sudden, you had nowhere to go. No restaurants were open, no bars. And so you saw people rethinking, how am I going to live and how am I going to work? You saw people moving out to suburbs again. You saw people leaving Silicon Valley to go to lower cost places. You saw people saying, I may never go back to an office, and I'm not going to spend 2 hours sitting in traffic in the future. So huge changes in how we live and work as a result of this. This is a monumental shift. Data and analytics, obviously we do IoT, we have wireless, we capture data, and then we apply analytics, machine learning, things like that. Again, you've heard this a million times. Data is one of our most important assets. It certainly is for your company, and it certainly is in the world. Literally petabytes of data have been streamed in from all over the world. How many cases of COVID? What's the infection rate? How many hospitalizations per day? How many people are in the ICU beds? Contact tracing, can we isolate hotspots where there's a higher degree of infection than others? Can we find green zones where clear areas? So much data has been streamed over the internet and over wireless networks, captured, kind of like IoT, capturing that data, modeling it as digital twins, and analyzing it with different types of analytics, machine learning, AI, things like that. Huge. We need to know that data, and it's really kept us informed. You probably heard it on the news, you see it on the radio, you see it streaming at you all the time. So data analytics has been a huge deal, goes without saying. So there is your quick run through of 2020. Clearly one of the worst years in human history. It's been heartbreaking for all of us. My thoughts and prayers go out to any of you. You've had friends and family that that you've lost. It's been tough, no doubt about it. But people and businesses and our education system, frankly, had to become more resourceful to survive. They had to pivot, right? This resourcefulness amplified the importance of delivering connected digital experiences to make things that were previously remote and make them into local things, just like we're doing now. I'm not with you at the Things conference. We're doing it remote, but we're pivoting and we're being resourceful and we're making it happen. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this conference. It's my pleasure to share my time and my thoughts with you. Thank you so much.